Welcome to the online class. Today we will be discussing Chapter 2 of Unit 6, Basic Fundamental Human Rights in the Constitution. In this lesson, we will be looking at the provisions of basic fundamental human rights both internationally as well as in the Indian Constitution. Human rights are those basic rights and freedoms given to all of us because of the very fact that we are human. These rights are considered inalienable, that is, nobody can take them away from us since they are given to us by birth. The year 1940 saw the Atlantic Charter being signed by American President Franklin D. Roosevelt and the British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. According to this, Roosevelt categorized fundamental liberties into four groups. First, freedom to express your opinion. Secondly, the freedom to practice a religion of your choice. Thirdly, freedom from poverty or the right to a dignified life. And fourthly, freedom from fear of tyrannical governments or persecution. However, the first half of the 20th century saw the world being ravaged by two global wars. The First and the Second World Wars saw within its purview a gross number of human rights violations, be it the Holocaust in Germany or the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. After the Second World War ended, it was realized that in order to enjoy these human rights and civil liberties, war had to be avoided at all costs and peace had to be ensured. It was in such a context that the United Nations was formed in San Francisco through the signing of the United Nations Charter on 24th October 1945. Therefore, 24th October is also celebrated as United Nations Day. One of the fundamental aims of the United Nations was to promote the progress of the entire humanity through the pursuit of peace. And this is why the United Nations is also called as the Parliament of the Mankind. Some other aims of the United Nations involves developing respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms and solving economic, social, cultural and other humanistic problems through cooperation between states. One of the major steps taken by the United Nations in the direction of promoting and protecting human rights is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, also known as the UDHR. The UDHR is the first international agreement for the protection of human rights. It is a document which comprises of 30 sections and it affirms the following things. It talks about the fundamental political and civil rights such as right to life, freedom, security, etc. Secondly, it emphasizes on the importance of social and cultural rights such as the right to education, family health, gender equity, welfare, etc. Thirdly, it describes the need for an international social order to protect these rights. This declaration was adopted in 1948 on the 10th of December. Therefore, 10th of December is also observed as Human Rights Day. Apart from the UDHR, the United Nations has also been witness to various other treaties such as the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, and both of these were adopted in the year 1966. Now, coming to the Indian Constitution, the first mention of rights can be seen in the preamble. The preamble is an introductory statement which sets out the basic guidelines and principles on which the Constitution and the nation is built upon. It sees the country as a sovereign, socialist, democratic republic and talks about the various rights which the state must give to its citizens. It does not talk about these rights individually, but groups them under the broad categories of justice, equality, liberty, and fraternity. Part 3 of the Constitution has a list of the fundamental rights which the Constitution gives to each of its Indian citizens. Moving on, Article 21 is considered to be the fundamental principle of human rights in the Indian Constitution because it gives a right to life as well as a right to personal liberty. In recent years, the Supreme Court added a new dimension to this Article 21, and it held that a right to life also means a right to a dignified life. This means having access to basic necessities such as education, food, shelter, and all those other conditions which are required for human dignity to be preserved. In India, it was realized that given the scope of human rights violations, it was important to set up an institution or a mechanism through which these violations could be addressed. It was in such a context that the Human Rights Protection Law came into force on September 28, 1993, and this law led to the establishment of the National and the State Human Rights Commission. The National Human Rights Commission, or the NHRC, is a body constituted by the central government for the protection and promotion of human rights at the national level. It is headed by a chairman who is someone not less than the rank of a Chief Justice and 4 other members. Its headquarters is at New Delhi. The powers and responsibilities of the NHRC includes firstly investigating complaints of human rights violations, secondly becoming a party in court procedures which involves human rights violations, thirdly visiting rehabilitation centers, jails, sanatoriums to look into the situation there and the condition of the inmates and to give suggestions and to file cases if there are violations happening. Fourthly, evaluating whether the already existing laws and rules whether they are effective or should they be enhanced. Fifthly, analyzing international treaties regarding human rights. And sixthly, undertaking and encouraging research about human rights. The State Human Rights Commission is appointed by the governor at the state level for the protection and promotion of human rights. It's headed by a chairman who is someone not less than the rank of a High Court Chief Justice, and it has 2 other members other than the chairman. Its powers and responsibilities are similar to that of the NHRC. Apart from these mechanisms, in India there are also human rights courts, which are special courts for the speedy trial of human rights violations. And the session courts of each district can be declared into this human rights court if the government and the High Court Chief Justice give their permission for the same. Thank you.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.